Instant news and live video delivered right to you. Anytime, from anywhere. Download the Ticker News app today. Available from the App Store.
Artificial intelligence is a double-edged sword in cybersecurity, serving as both a tool for hackers to launch sophisticated attacks and a defence mechanism for those protecting against them. To discuss this further is Jim Kay, founder and CEO at IT Networks. Good to see you. Let's talk about the current trends in cybersecurity defence, and then we'll get into how it relates to AI.
Sure, Mike. What we're seeing at the moment is zero trust architecture being used extensively. And zero trust architecture is never trusting anyone and always verifying everything, regardless of being on the inside of the network or on the outside. We're also seeing an increased focus on supply chain security. When someone is compromised, there is then lateral movement into the partners and customers of that compromised organisation, and also an increase in ransomware attacks that are becoming more and more sophisticated.
Yeah, and absolutely more prevalent as well, if what I've heard is true. So how is AI changing the cybersecurity landscape, more broadly speaking? I understand it is a tool for hackers, but also a defence weapon as well. Take us through a little bit about what you and your team are seeing.
Absolutely, Mike. I mean, AI can analyse vast amounts of data much quicker and much more efficiently than any human can. So using that data and that analysis, sifting through logs, blocking bad IPs, blocking potentially compromised accounts or anything that looks not right, identifying patterns, it is very, very good at doing that. And as I say, much better than a human can and much more efficiently.
Okay, so are small businesses at risk of cybersecurity breaches now more than ever before? I know the big players generally have access to these AI tools, but what about the little guy?
That's a question we hear very often, Mike. I mean, small businesses typically lack resources, IT expertise, and unfortunately awareness. And it is much, much easier to get $1 out of a million people than it is to get $1 million out of one person. So the attacks are becoming very sophisticated and are actually targeting small business because they are an easy target.
Yeah, so how can businesses ensure that they have the right protections in place, given that the game is changing so rapidly? But again, there are these tools that are quite, capable of defence.
Sure. I mean, the best way to do it is to measure yourself against a known quantity. If you were measuring the length of something, you would use a tape measure or a ruler. Measure your cybersecurity baseline. There are standards out there. There's CIST, there's the ACSC in Australia, there's CIS. There are many, many standards that you can use, and you should know where you sit within that baseline. You should be looking at it and being aware of where your weaknesses are. That's your best defence.
Absolutely, Jim. I'm curious to know if people want to find out a little bit more about this topic, perhaps unpack it further with yourself or your team. Where's the best place to go to do so?
itnetworks.com.au.
Nice and simple. And I suppose some final tips just before I let you go for businesses out there looking to get started on their cybersecurity journey. Changing your passwords is the general rule. Two-factor authentication. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight?
Well, passwords are old school now, Mike. We're using passcodes. Two-factor authentication is definitely something that should be in place for any internet-facing account. But really knowing what you're protecting and how protected you are, measuring against that baseline, that known quantity. It's no good somebody telling you you're secure. You should have that in written form and know where you stand against a known standard.
Jim, some good insights from you today. Appreciate you jumping up on the program and giving us a timely reminder about what's going on when it comes to cybersecurity and artificial intelligence as well as we head into 2025. Thank you again.
Thanks again, Mike.
Ticker is at your